Okay, so I'm going to try to do a tutorial for how to tack down the nursing panel. I have never done this before specifically, but I'm doing it for someone that doesn't know how to sew, never done sewing, just to show how easy it is. So I have a thread, needle and thread here, nice little knot on the end. So we're gonna go on the inside here, which we wouldn't, it doesn't really matter what angle you come from, but from the skirt or the side or whatever. So I would start next to the side seam and at the top of the panel. You could always do the bottom if you want to tack the very bottom of the panel, but because there's already seams up near the top, I would do the top of the panel, because, oh, and you're going to want to make sure that your needle comes out at the seam you want to stitch it on if you want to try to make it match. So needle coming out right about the bottom, if you can see that. Anyway, sorry, I do not have a good way to hold my phone, so my phone is propped up funny while I'm trying to stitch. Anyway, okay, there's that. So you get the needle up and then fold this down. And so there's these stitching lines here. So what I would do is come up on the bottom seam there, come up here, and obviously you're going to want to have this laying nicely. I'm kind of, like I said, I'm in a funny position and a funny angle right now. I would have this like laying out on a table or bed or something, but so you can know everything's laying where you want it to. But so the thread comes up there, and then you want to go back down the same seam as well, and I would grab underneath and just kind of hold this down gently so you can feel that the needle goes through, and then you can just kind of weave the needle up and down a couple of times along that seam. I hope this is clear enough to see. And then pull it through, and then stretch it a little so you don't lose your stretch. And like I said, you'd want this laying somewhere flat, maybe even like lay it down and pin the panel flat where you want it to be. Pin it along the bottom or along here so that you know it's laying flat, laying exactly where you want it to be so that it doesn't end up crooked or whatever. Because if I just kept stitching here, the overlay might be more than I would want it to be. But I'm just going to take this out because I'm just using this as a demonstration. Yeah, so then you would just keep, if you want the stitches to kind of match, you could go down right on the other side of the stitch and like maybe skip a couple stitches and then come back up where there's a stitch and go back down on the other side of that stitch to kind of make it match the manufacturer's stitches, where your stitches are going, especially the same color thread, which would be ideal. Because if you look at that, you can't, I did a wider stitch there, which wouldn't be necessarily ideal, but probably not very noticeable when you're wearing it. But if you do the small stitches like the manufacturer stitches, just little tacking stitches, then it's not going to be noticeable. I will show, if you wanted to do, say you want to do at the bottom here, let me show you how you could do that and not show the stitches. So come up at the bottom here. If I can find my corner with my needle on the underside. Come up at the bottom corner here. Sorry if I'm, see that? Like, yeah, I am not set up for doing video tutorials. And then I would go and just snag the bottom side of the panel. Check the top. Needle is not showing through there. So there's your stitch there. And then you're going to, have this laying down where you want it. And then go back down through here, back up. And if you have this laying down flat, you could always hold it at this angle like this, and you can just do like this and snag the underside. Just peek at the top, make sure your needle isn't showing through, and just kind of weave in and out, and make sure you're only snagging the underside so your thread doesn't show through. Panel down, hold this against where the needle's coming up so it pops up like that. And there, see, I just tacked this down from here to here. You can't see a stitch and it's held down flat. So you could always do that and just snag the underside of it, make sure it's down against that so there's not a gap there like I left. But like I said, I'm taking this out. Just demonstration. So make sure it's laying where you want it to, and if this kind of has a space because of like it's just not sewed quite close enough in the original sewing of the dress, you can just kind of tug it down a little bit and your stitches will hold it down. So that's how you can tack it down either at the bottom or at the top if you don't want the nursing access opening, but you happen nursing dress is the only available or what you have, or you want to just tack it down between nursing times. You might want the nursing later, but don't need it right now. And that's a quick, it'll take a little while, but it's an easy way to do some hand stitching to get it down. But you're going to want to make sure you do stretch it as you stitch so that you leave the stretch in the dress. Otherwise, you might be popping stitches when you put it on or off. So I hope that was helpful. And yeah, I hope that helps someone.